The word box seems simple, but it appears everywhere in English. We use it for physical objects, technology, business, sport, and even psychology. So in this episode, we'll explore how this small word box creates many useful expressions, such as think outside the box, ticking a box, or box office success. So by the end of this episode, you'll understand how native speakers use box in everyday conversation, business contexts, and idioms. Welcome to
Aprender Inglés with Reza and Craig.
Hello and welcome to the podcast, especially if you're a new listener. My name's Craig.
And my name's Reza.
And with nearly 60 years of teaching between us, we'll help you improve your English and take it to the next level. How are you doing, Reza?
I'm doing well. As you know, we've recorded a couple of episodes already today, so we're in full swing. We're right in the middle of it, and I think it's going well.
We're not going to be boxed in by anything this week, are we?
No, nothing's going to stop us.
Speaking of boxes, let's hear the inspiration for this week's podcast from friend of the show, Marta from Poland, who recently has been thinking outside the box.
Hello, Reza Craig, and greetings to all your listeners. I came up with a topic for your podcast, but when I typed the keyword into the search box on your website, I realized that it had already been suggested. So I thought outside the box. There are cardboard boxes, jewelry boxes, airplane black boxes, fuse boxes, to name just a few. One can select the appropriate box, be boxed into a bad position, or even box for a living. A box full of, perhaps, chocolates can be delivered or boxed for shipping. In short, I'd like to drop into your suggestion box a topic about the word box. Best wishes from Marta in Poland. Bye.
Thank you very much, Marta, for your message. Always a pleasure hearing from you, and thank you for your idea. Any comments, Reza?
Very good idea as ever, Marta. It's lovely to hear from you. And I'm already impressed with your range of expressions. Really, really good.
And we've included your expressions in our list of words connected to box, and we've added some of our own. So to see our list, go to inglespodcast.com/616, and you can see all of the vocabulary written as we speak about them. So the first one on the list is search box, which is what Marta used on our website, inglespodcast.com, just to check if we've spoken about box before. So on a website or a blog, there is a text box that you can type in words and then search the website database. That's a search box.
Now, from high tech, let's go to very low tech. A cardboard box or a wooden box. So what might you store in a cardboard box or wooden box? Maybe old photographs printed on paper, that sort of things, or documents which you need to have in paper format. Perhaps you might keep them in a cardboard box or a wooden box. Note, we don't say wood, we say wooden, because wood is usually used as a noun. Whereas if it's an adjective describing something like a box, we prefer the word wooden, a wooden box.
And Marta mentioned one of my favourite boxes, which is a box of chocolates. Of course, you can also have a box of tissues. You can have a box of money under your bed.
If you are, for example, a mechanic or an electrician or something like that, you're going to need a toolbox, a box which has useful instruments in it, a toolbox.
If you want to give someone a present, you might put it in a gift box. A gift is a synonym of present. A gift box is a very nice box that has an attractive design. It's very colourful usually, and it looks nice to put something in a gift box when you're giving it to someone as a present.
Craig, how would you define our next expression, a chat box?
Well, we use chat boxes when I do my conversation courses and on Zoom, which is the software I use, you can open the chat box window and you can speak to people by typing in text. So in many applications online, like Google Meet, for example, or maybe any website where you can chat with somebody behind the scenes or working for the website, then usually you'd use a digital box on the website or on the program, on the software, to speak or chat with someone. So that's a chat box. It's a way of speaking with someone by text.
Is it the same as a chatterbox?
No, a chatterbox is a person who speaks too much, especially in class, and I'm sure you have chatterboxes in your young learners classes.
Yes, me.
It's you, is it? Yeah. It's not the students.
No.
So a chatterbox is a person who talks too much.
Now, I'd be very, very, very surprised if you didn't know the next expression, an email inbox. So as you know, I'm sure, if someone sends you an email, it goes to your inbox, your email inbox. Of course, in the old days, before computers existed, an inbox referred to a physical thing, not something in cyberspace, but it would be some kind of filing system on your desk in an office where things which had arrived, pieces of paper, documents that had arrived but hadn't been sorted out yet, would go into your inbox.
I'm old enough to remember physical inboxes when I worked in an office many years ago. The post or the mail, the paper correspondence that came into the office went in an inbox on my desk. And when I replied by typing a letter, then that would go in the outbox, which is the opposite. And then the postman or postwoman would come around and collect everything that was in the outbox, and then it would get sent or posted by letter. This, of course, was way before computers. If you have jewellery, you might want to keep it in a jewellery box. And if you go to court to give evidence, then you probably will stand in a witness box. So a witness is a person who testifies and gives evidence in court, and the place to do that is in a witness box. Let's take a quick break here because I know you listen to this podcast to take your English to the next level. But what about your speaking? Is your fluency improving? Are you happy with your speaking skills? My conversation course focuses on making you a more confident and more fluent English speaker. You'll join me and a small group of motivated students, and we'll meet on Zoom and have topical discussions, role plays, debates, and presentations that will expand your vocabulary and help you express yourself effectively in English. So be proactive and take the first step towards becoming a confident and fluent English speaker. Send me an email today to craig@inglespodcast.com and I'll send you details of the next online conversation course. Thanks for listening. Now let's get back to the podcast.
Now, one that you might not know or even guess is pillar box. You might think, what, it's a box that looks like a pillar? Yeah, kind of. But really, certainly in British English, it refers to the place where, again, perhaps more in the old days, you would put a physical letter. So in the street, in the United Kingdom, they're traditionally red. There are these, you could call them boxes because they've got a hole in the middle, although they're actually round. They're not square like a typical box, and they look like a pillar. Not a very high pillar. A pillar which is, what, about the height up to your chest, maybe? Your chest or your shoulders or something like that. It's red, but it's got a hole in one side, and you stick the letter in there and it drops into the hole in the middle, and that's a pillar box.
And then hopefully the letter that you post gets delivered at the other end, although that's not always the case.
I hope you don't experience what I experienced, and I'm not joking. I sent a Christmas card, a physical Christmas card to someone in Valencia. This is honestly true. I sent it about the 20th of December, thinking that should be all right for Valencia. It got there on the 1st of March.
The following year or 2 years later?
The following year, 1st of March. From December to March in Valencia. And yet I had sent a Christmas card to someone in Germany on the same day, the 20th of December. And it got there before Christmas Day from the same pillar box. Can anyone explain that to me? I am not joking. To Germany, 2 days. From Valencia to Valencia, 3 months. How can that be?
That's a very good question. I have no idea. I mentioned before you could keep money in a box under your bed. That will probably or possibly be a shoebox. That's the box that your shoes come in, and you can use shoeboxes to store many things.
Marta mentioned an airplane black box. Now, we're not particularly interested in the color, although I think they do tend to be black or a dark color.
No, they don't.
Oh, what color are they?
They are bright orange.
Scrap altogether.
And there's a reason for that, because they're easy to see. If there's a crash, then you can easily see a bright orange box, whereas if it were black, you wouldn't see it. Now, if I fly, I always try to buy a ticket that seats me in a position exactly on top of the black box, because it usually survives the crash.
Are you serious?
No. But it makes sense, right? They always find the black box.
Yeah.
So if you're sitting on it, then there's a good chance you'll survive an airplane crash.
I'm not sure about that, because I'm pretty sure there's a slight difference between the black box and you. I have a funny feeling, Craig,
Stronger.
that you are not encased in strengthened titanium, are you?
No, I'm not.
So I'm not sure your chances are quite the same.
So that box is an airplane black box, but there's also a similar expression, black box, in technology and artificial intelligence. And it's a complex system where you see the inputs and the outputs, but you don't understand the internal workings of what's happening. In other words, with artificial intelligence these days, they know the information and the data that's going in to the AI, and they know the output, what comes out as a result, but nobody really understands what's happening in the middle of this technology because it's just too complicated. And that is called a black box in AI tech.
Much older technology is a fuse box. So fuse boxes are used for electricity. It's that little box where you have all the fuses. The fuses are those little instruments which protect the electrical circuit. If there's a problem, for example, if the electrical wires overheat, if they get too hot, hopefully the fuse flips and that will cut off your electricity supply. That's a good thing. If it doesn't do that, your house might burn down. So it's good to have a functional fuse box in your house.
Yep, especially if there's a power cut, and as Reza said, you need to flip the switch and put the power back on. Now, we mentioned in the introduction a box office success. If you have a box office hit, then you have a very successful film that makes a lot of money. The film Avatar comes to mind because they've released, I think, the second or third, maybe third Avatar. I don't remember. I'm not a huge fan. I did see the first Avatar. That was a very big box office hit. It made a lot of money. And traditionally, the box office is the place in the cinema or movie theatre where you buy your ticket.
That's why some of you will have heard and some of you will have the streaming service HBO, which stands for Home Box Office. So it's like you've got the cinema with its box office in your home. That's why they call it HBO Home Box Office.
And if you prefer to see your TV series and films on your TV at home, you may buy a box set, which is a collection of all of the seasons of a particular TV series or films. For example, I have box sets of The Sopranos, Breaking Bad, The Wire. These popular TV series, you can buy them all pushed together in one box, and that's called a box set.
Now, of course, you can't exist in this bureaucratically and technologically obsessed world these days without knowing about ticking boxes. If you tick all the boxes, even though you haven't a clue what you're doing in life, people can think you really know what you're doing. So it's always a very wise idea to tick all the boxes.
As Marta said in her message, there is a sport called boxing. You can be a boxer, B-O-X-E-R, and the verb is to box. In fact, I come from a long line of boxers in my family. My grandfather was quite a successful boxer. My dad used to box in the army, and I had a cousin who was quite a famous boxing promoter. So as far as boxing goes, there's a lot in my family.
Wow, I didn't know that. So did Boxing Day mean a lot to you?
No, because although some people think Boxing Day is connected to the sport of boxing, it isn't, is it, Reza?
No, it's a misleading terminology. It's actually the day after Christmas, the 26th of December. And nobody knows for sure why we call it Boxing Day, but there's a theory that in the past, people used to put presents or food, perhaps leftover things from Christmas, in a box and give it to poor people. That's the theory. But we don't really do that anymore. But we still call that day Boxing Day, 26th of December.
A boxer dog is a type of dog. You could say a breed of dog. And I want to say hello to Denise, a friend of the show, and her husband, who are both big fans of boxer dogs. So a boxer dog is a type of dog.
A very British breed, isn't it? I think of Britain when two dogs above all, bulldogs and boxers, they're very British dogs, aren't
Yes, they are. Yeah.
To box something up means to put it in a box, prepare it, put it in the box, get it ready for delivery or to be sent. That is to box something up. Phrasal verb. We got the verb, box, and we got the preposition, up.
And if you change the preposition and use the preposition off, O-F-F, to box off means to separate an area or space, to make a section of something and keep it apart or separated from the rest of the space, to box something off.
And as Marta said in her message, you can drop something into a suggestion box. So in the past, well, actually also even today, there used to be physical boxes in companies or even in government buildings where people could write on a piece of paper a suggestion about how they could improve the service and stick that piece of paper in a suggestion box.
So if you have any suggestions for the podcast, you could use our virtual suggestion box and send us an email or a voice message and give us a suggestion. Now, I'm sure if you go to YouTube, often you have seen unboxing videos. To unbox is to remove something from a box, and that's very common when people on YouTube are making videos to explain or show you a product that they have bought. So they're very, very popular. If you buy anything that comes in a box and you create an unboxing video, then you're going to see someone opening a box, removing the product and speaking about it. Do you watch those unboxing videos?
I've never seen one in my life.
Really?
Never.
Okay. Okay, no, fair enough. Curious.
But there's probably a good reason for that. I'm 55 years old. So I feel no need to see people open a box and show me the product. The product, yeah, but I don't need to see the opening of the box. Just the product will do me. So the unboxing's not my cup of tea, really. I can open the box myself, I reckon. It's the rest that I can't do.
But it does show you what's inside the box, because sometimes it's not the product itself. It's, does it come with a cable? What are the instructions like? Are there batteries included? So the unboxing shows everything you get when you buy the product.
It sounds like it's more for techie people than me. I'm not a very techie person.
Yeah, it is for technology, but most things come in boxes these days. So if you buy a new vacuum cleaner, for example, well, does it come with attachments? What attachments do you get if you buy this product? What's actually inside the box? So they can be quite helpful.
Yeah.
Let's look at some idioms as well, because Marta mentioned to think outside the box, which means to think creatively, to think in a very abstract, different way, to find solutions perhaps, or think of things that would not be very common or very normal to think about.
And if you're in the box seat, well, that expression originally comes from the theatre, because the boxes or the box seats in the theatre were the best seats. Those little areas where there was a group of 4, 6, maybe 8 at most people in a kind of private zone, they're the box seats. So as an idiom, if you're in the box seat, it means you're in a very privileged position to see what's going on or to control things. That's in the box seat.
You do not want to be boxed into a corner, because if someone boxes you into a corner, or if you feel boxed into a corner, then there's no way out for you. You're trapped. You're inside a situation that has no exit, no way out. You're boxed into a corner.
The idiot box is a slightly old-fashioned expression. I imagine it will disappear pretty soon, but it used to be used, not so much now, to refer to the TV. Television can be called the idiot box. And if something is being shown on TV, on the idiot box, you can say it's on the box. So instead of saying, what's on TV? What's on the TV there? Can you tell me? You could say, what's on the box?
That comes from the days when a television looked like a box. That was before flat screen TVs, when they're wafer thin these days and they're not really box shaped. Reza, has anyone ever threatened to box your ears?
They've threatened it, and they've even done it once or twice, but they've carried out their threat. But not too often, I'm glad to say. What about you?
Yeah, my mum used to say, "I'll box your ears, young man," but she used to say it in a humorous way. Like she was just kind of threatening me, but not seriously. If you box someone in with your car, which can be common in Valencia because people like to double park here sometimes, but if they make the mistake of leaving their handbrake on, then you're boxed in. You can't move your car because it's like a box with another car exactly where you want to leave from. So you're boxed in, you can't move.
If someone gets on his or her soapbox, or if they are on their soapbox, it doesn't mean that they're literally standing on a box which used to have soap in it. It means, idiomatically, that they're preaching, that they're trying to sell a message or sell a product. Because in the past, people used to literally stand on a big box. Perhaps it was often a box which had soap in it, to be elevated in a big crowd so that everyone could see them and they could shout their message. So we've carried it on as an idiomatic expression. If you're on your soapbox, or you get in your soapbox, you're preaching or you're trying to get people to pay attention to a message.
We get on our soapbox from time to time, don't we? And we rant about things and complain about things.
We certainly do.
And if you've ever been to London, or if you're thinking of going to London, if you go to a place called Hyde Park, there's an area called Hyde Park Corner. And if you go there on a Sunday morning, if the weather's nice and it's not raining, you will see people standing on boxes, probably, and speaking to the public. They tend to get on their soapbox about religion, politics, anything that bothers them, and they'll be speaking to the public at Hyde Park Corner on a Sunday morning.
Now, we've used a lot of expressions with box here. We hope we haven't opened a Pandora's box. That means once you mention something, it can lead to more and more and more and more and more complications. And who knows, maybe it would have been a better idea never to mention it in the first place. That's the expression of to open Pandora's box. We hope we haven't done that. We hope that we've simply helped you understand expressions with box a lot more. That's our intention.
Yeah, that's from Greek mythology, isn't it? Pandora. She was a woman who opened a box, and she released disease and misery and sickness and death to the world. And the only thing that was left inside Pandora's box was hope that was trapped inside. A bit like this podcast, really. Yeah. So now it's your turn to practice your English. When was the last time you had to think outside the box to solve a problem? And do you think social media boxes us in by only showing us things we already agree with? Can you think of a few ways to use the expressions and the idioms and the collocations that we've spoken about in this podcast? If you can, we would love to hear from you. Reza, how can people get in touch?
We think the best way is to send us an audio message. You can use SpeakPipe. There's a link in the show notes at speakpipe.com/English podcast. Remember, you've got a 90-second limit there. Or, if you like, you could send us an email, send it to our inbox, either to craig@inglespodcast.com or belfastreza@gmail.com.
If you're a Spanish speaker and you want to improve your English with free and paid resources, visit the Mansion Inglés website at mansioningles.com. And for paid products, you can browse the online store at store.mansioningles.net.
Some of you would probably like to have a full audio transcription of all the episodes of the podcast. Well, you can. If you sign up to our Patreon program and become a sponsor by making a small donation to the podcast, as a way of saying thank you, we'll give you access to the audio transcriptions. And also, as an added extra, an invitation to join Craig once a month for an informal chat on Zoom to further practice your speaking. Also, we hope that it'll make you feel all warm and fuzzy and happy inside for having helped us. So if you're interested, have a look in the show notes. It's patreon.com/inglespodcast.
What's next week, Reza?
Next week, we're going to talk about the Arctic versus the Antarctic. What makes the poles so different?
And we don't mean Polish people, we mean the North Pole and the South Pole. So join us for a bit of geography next week, and we'll open the Pandora's box for that topic. Thank you for listening this week. Until next time, it's goodbye from Reza.
And it's goodbye from Craig.
The music in this podcast is by Pitts. The track is called See You Later.